Another aircraft kit this week. We're going to be looking at the 1/72nd scale PV-1 Ventura by Minicraft. Now, in my last video, I made the comment that it seems like Minicraft does a better job with larger scale subjects than they do with smaller scale. And in all honesty, looking at this kit, I still stand by that statement. Overall, the detailing on this kit is very nice, with the one exception being in the landing gear bays, as they unfortunately lack detail. Obviously, if you really want to, you could obviously go aftermarket. Wheel detail on this kit is much better in comparison to other kits, obviously being 1/72nd scale, going to necessitate some more detail. Prop detail is good, and landing gear detail is about the same, as far as it's passable. Seat detail, alright, I'm not really going to see them once it's buttoned up. Turning on to the upper halves, much the same. A couple odds and end parts, some of which won't be seen. Gun barrels, they're alright. Could be better, could be worse, but passable. Except we've got part of the excuse me, got one half of our fuselage. We also have our vertical stabilators, which they include the elevator tips, which is a nice way of doing it. I haven't seen this done elsewhere, so having them pre-put on is nice. No detail on the inside of the fuselage, sorry. You're also given 2 drop tanks, and engine detailing is alright. For the scale, it's not bad. Obviously, it's not same quality as a resin engine, but it's still passable. Continuing on, we've got 2 halves of our rest of our elevators, which are alright. Personally not a fan of doing it in halves, but that's just me. A couple more odds and end parts, as well as our turret. There is a little bit of flashing on these, but overall they serve their purposes and do a decent job representing it. No detail on the instrument panel. Instead, they're going with a decal for this kit, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Now, you are given a glass nose. I guess they're reusing parts from a different version, so it is nice to include that. But much like the other Minicraft kits, the detail is lost because of the thickness of the clear parts. I would say overall this is probably their biggest fault from what I've seen of their kits, is that the glass parts are way overly thick. Much like, as you can see here on the turrets, cockpit, overall they make their clear parts too thick. Aside from that, they are at least somewhat serviceable. Moving on to our decals, I've got two paint options, one for a Canadian and one for a U.S. aircraft. And like I said, cockpit panel is done with a decal. It's alright, not the best, but does its job. Cracking open the instructions, much like the kit we did last week, it's pretty straightforward. Couple areas where you might get tripped up, especially with having to fill in these panel lines, just making sure you do it right. but overall it's pretty straightforward. Definitely might have some issues getting alignment on these done right, as I've had issues with similar type of tail arrangements in the past. So take your time and definitely try to rig up some sort of jig or something to get those put together right. In fact, I would even say it's probably a better idea to glue the stabilators in first and then try to get the wingtip, the vertical stabs on. But other than that, it's a pretty decent build. No real sort of gotchas. As I said, two marking options, one for a Canadian aircraft in natural metal and a US Navy in overall dark blue. So overall, it's a decent kit. It's not without faults, but you know, for a budget entry option, it's not nothing to complain too much about. So that was a look at Minicraft's 1/72nd scale PV-1 Ventura. Until next time.